So let's get started with our review for our common assessment tomorrow. Number 1 says Randy shops for circular stepping stones for his yard. He finds a stone with a circumference of 37 5/7 inches. What is the diameter of the stone in inches? Use 22/7 for pi. Okay, so it says circumference is 37 5/7 inches, and it's asking for the diameter. So first thing, we're going to go ahead and write our formula for circumference and diameter. So circumference equals pi times diameter. So now I'm going to go ahead and plug in what I know. So circumference is 37 5/7 inches equals pi, well, pi in this case is 22/7 times diameter. Well, I need to get the diameter by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by this number, right? So divide by 22/7, and I'm going to divide here by 22/7. So first of all, with fractions, I can't really work with a mixed number right now, so I need to change it to an improper fraction. So I'm going to do 37, right? We do Texas, TX. So 37 times 7. Oh, geez. Okay. So 37 times 7. 7 times 7 is 49. 3 times 7 is 21. Plus 4 is 25. And then I need to add 5 to it. 9 plus 5 is 14. 5 plus 1 is 6. And I have 264. So I have 264/7, and I'm going to be dividing it by 22/7, and that's going to equal to diameter, right? Because these canceled. Well, if I'm dividing, that means I need to change, flip, right? So I'm going to do 264/7 times 7/22. And remember, when we have a situation like this, we said that it's always going to be able to cancel. So I can cancel these two, which means I have 264/22, or my diameter is equal to 264 divided by 22. So I'm going to go off over here and I'm going to do my division. So 264 divided by 22. So 22 goes into 26 one time. 22. 6 minus 2 is 4. I have a 0 here, and I'm going to bring down the 4. So 44. So 2 times 22 equals 44. So here, my answer is that my diameter equals 12. So 12 inches. All right, so not too bad. If you see a problem in there, on your test that gives you the circumference, just plug it into C, and then you're going to divide and flip your fraction so that you can cancel the 7s. Okay, let's move on to number 2. So number 2 says the art department made a new circular statue with a diameter of 10 feet. They want to cover it for the unveiling. They have to purchase spools of fabric that hold 25 square feet of fabric. How many spools do they need to cover it? Use 3.14 for pi. Okay, so in the end, we want to know how many spools they need. And each spool holds 25 square feet. So if I'm covering it, am I going to be using circumference or area? Oopsies, sorry. So I'm not going around it, I'm covering it. So I'm going to want to use area. So let me go ahead and write that formula. So area equals pi r squared. And here it says it has a diameter of 10 feet. So if my diameter equals 10, right? This whole piece is 10, then that means that if I cut it in half, the radius is equal to 5. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that in because it's pi times 5 squared, or that's pi times 5 is 25. So I'm going to do 3.14 times 25 will equal my area. So 3.14 times 25. 5 times 4 is 20. 1 times 5 is 5. Plus 2 is 7. 3 times 5 is 15. Put a 0. Do the second ones. 2 times 4 is 8. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. Add them up. 0. 7 plus 8 is 15. 5, 6, 7, 8. 6 plus 1 is 7. 2 numbers to the right of the decimal, so 1, 2 numbers. So I have 78.50, and that's going to be feet squared. So that's my area, right? So that is the area of my figure. Is that what it's asking for? No, we underlined it here. It says how many spools do they need? And they have to purchase spools of fabric that hold 25 square feet. So one spool is 25 feet. But I need to cover 78, right? 78 square feet. So 2 spools is 50 square feet, right? 3 spools is 75 square feet. Will that cover it? Not quite, right? 4 spools is 100 square feet. So how many spools do I need to cover 78.5 square feet, right? 75 won't cover it. 100 will. So our answer in this case would be 4 spools, because 4 spools would cover the 78.5 square feet. Okay, so moving right along to our next problem. This one here says write an equation and solve for x. Okay, so let's go back with angle relationships. So there were 2 types of angles that we discussed. We discussed complementary and we discussed supplementary. So complementary became a 90, right? 90-degree angle. So it's like this. It's a right angle, like that. It equals 90 degrees. And then supplementary, we said we could turn it into an 180, right? Supplementary is like a straight line, and they add up to 180 degrees. So knowing that, we have several different ways of looking at this problem. We also learned that vertical angles are equal. So that means that this angle here is equal to this angle here, right? So if this one is 60 degrees, this one has to equal 60 degrees, okay? So we also know that if this one is 60, or we also know, that these 2 are equal, right? So these 2 would be equal. And we know that this here is a straight line. So these 2 angles would add up to 180, right? Because they are supplementary angles. So you have, if we're writing an equation and solving for x, you have 2 options. So we know that this angle and this angle add up to 180, right? So 3x plus 60 equals 180 degrees, right? These are supplementary. They're on a straight line, so these 2 add up to 180 degrees, okay? Another option is looking at these 2 vertical angles, right? We said they are equal to each other. So we could say that 1.5x is equal to 60 degrees. So either of these equations we could solve and get the value of x. So let's try. Okay, so here, again, we're always going to draw a line down our equal sign. I want to get 3x by itself, so I'm going to subtract 60 from each side. So I have 3x is equal to 120, right? 8 minus 6 is 2. And then I need to get x by itself. Right here it says 3 times x, so I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to divide by 3, divide by 3. So x equals 40. So that would be my answer. Let's double check our other equation and see if we could have used that to solve as well. So here, I don't have anything to add or subtract. So I'm just going to go ahead and get x by itself because it says 1.5 times x equals 60. So I'm going to divide by 1.5, divide by 1.5. So x equals, I'm going to do the division over here, so 60 divided by 1.5. I'm going to move my decimal one place here, move it one place here, move the decimal right up. Let's see, 15 goes into 60. Let's see, 2 times 15 is 30. So 4 times 15 is 60. 0, and I have to add in a 0 to get to my decimal. So x equals 40. So either way, we find that x is 40. It's just using our knowledge of vertical angles, saying that these two angles are equal, here and here. These are equal. And knowing that on a straight line, they're supplementary, so they add up to 180. So either way we can go about it, write our equation, and solve for x. Okay, moving along to our next problem. This one here says, Brianna has a toy that is an equilateral triangle. The perimeter of the toy is 42 centimeters. What is the length of each side? Okay, so it's an equilateral triangle. The perimeter is 42 centimeters. So guys, if you remember, perimeter, like of our classroom, is the length of all four walls added together, right? It's kind of like the circumference of a circle is the perimeter of the circle. So it's the distance around the circle, and you're going to add up each side. But here it's talking about an equilateral triangle. So let's review the types of triangles. We have an equilateral triangle where all three sides are equal. We have an isosceles triangle that has two equal sides. And then we have like a scalene. I don't know, sorry, those kind of look equal, but scalene doesn't have any equal sides. So the perimeter, let's say this was 2, 2, and 2, the perimeter here is 2, 4, 6. All right, over here, if we had 4, 4, and 2, the perimeter would be the distance around. So 4 plus 4 is 8, 8 plus 2 is 10. Okay, so using that knowledge, let's do this problem. There's an equilateral triangle. Okay, so all sides are equal, and the perimeter is 42 centimeters. Okay, so if we don't know this side, let's pretend it's x. Well, if that side's x, this side is x, and that side is x. So how many x's do we have? 3 of them, right? So 3x, 3 times x, equals 42. That's the same as saying x plus x plus x equals 32, right? Or 42, I'm sorry. So again, we're just solving this equation. So you guys know how to do that. We divide both sides by 3, and you guys can do the math. So the last problem has a rectangular pyramid. It says which expression can be used to calculate the surface area of the pyramid. So if it doesn't specify lateral, it means it's asking for the total surface area. So first thing we're going to do is shade in our base. With a pyramid, we know there's one base in the center, and the lateral sides stick out from it. And so you want to find our lateral sides. So let's talk about this. It says here, the height is 5.1 here and here, right? So there's 2 that are this size, and this says the height is 4. So there's 2 that are that size. So you're going to separate the lateral, right? And they're triangles, so you're going to use area equals 1/2 base times height. And you're going to do that 2 different times. There's 2 of them that are 5.1, and there's 2 of them that have a height of 4. Then you're going to calculate the area of the base, and you're going to want to add them all together. So look here that it's the steps. So you write out your steps first, and then find the right answer.